Hi, I'm Ali and a warm welcome to the Ceramic Repair Studio. Now in today's video I have a piece here, a Staffordshire pottery piece, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do some painting on a piece of ceramic. So as you can see here, just where the hair is, the pieces are black. They just need a little bit of filling in here with some paint, and I'm also going to do just a little on the tail here. So let's get going. What you will need are some paints, obviously. Now I tend to use a mixture of powder pigments and also some acrylics. And the acrylics I like to use are the Winsor and Newton acrylics, and they're the professional acrylic range. So I have a variety of colours here, but I also have some powder pigments also. You can mix them around a bit. Also it depends on what colour you have to hand. I've also got a couple of cocktail sticks to mix the paint up with, and I always collect these milk bottle tops, really handy for mixing up paint or glue. Now I've also got some brushes here. I'm using the flat brush, so for the final part we're just going to do a little top glaze, and I like to use a flat brush for that. And just a couple of paint brushes. Now I do like to use sable brushes, they're softer and they're just a better quality. And also not forgetting just a cup of water, just so we can keep rinsing our paint brushes. And I've also got some ceramic glaze here. Now the one I use is a one which is quite difficult to get hold of, but I think there are ones which are Winsor and Newton again, which are available in most countries. So what we're going to do first, I think we're going to start on the piece of the black here, the black hair. Now I do have again some powder pigment, and this is an ivory black, and I also have here this one, I think it's a Mars black. I do find when it comes to mixing paint, the acrylics are so much easier to mix than powder pigments, which you've got to really mix them in well, otherwise you end up with little blobs. First of all, we're just going to take a little bit of the black and place it into our lid here, also remembering to always say place on the top of the lid straight away. And I may just get another brush just for mixing in. So with my water, I'm just going to add a little bit of water to it, and I'm also going to add a little bit of the ceramic glaze. This will actually also help lock it in. So with the ceramic glaze, now when I do put, just very quickly, when I do buy ceramic glaze, I always put it into a little pot because it dries very quickly. Otherwise, if you open a huge big pot, it's going to dry out the whole lot out. So just transferring it almost into a jam jar. So I'm just taking a little bit of the ceramic glaze and then mixing it in with our black paint. So just mix it in. If you think it's too thick, which I think this is, I'm still going to add a little bit more of the water. So let's just get some, put that there, and just mix that. You don't want it to be too thin, but equally you don't want it to be too thick either. And that's looking pretty good. So we're just going to take our brush here. Actually looking at it, because it's quite fine, I'm actually going to use a smaller brush. So I've got this very small brush here, if you can see. So just applying a little bit onto the brush, and then we'll just work our way around really. So I like to start just filling in, and you don't want to overdo it. Now I do find on these Staffordshire pieces, they were very crude, as they were made by, they were painted a lot of the time by home workers, chipped, but they're rather beautiful and have their own personalities in their own way. And there were lots which were made, usually of the sort of famous people of the day. As you can see, just adding a little bit here, and you go just slightly over. If you find you've made it too watery, you can always go over a couple of times. And you can see here, there's quite a large bit here. So again, just adding in, blending in. I like to keep as much as original as possible, so just doing just bits and pieces. Now I have actually cleaned this as well, believe it or not. You want to make sure that it's nice and clean in the first place, and then just dab it on. Keep assessing. So they were quite crude in the first place. I might just add a little bit, blend it a little bit further down where I can see doesn't have much of a shine. And just keep assessing. And that looks fine there. Now we could actually do bits and pieces on here where it's slightly sort of worn away if you want to, so just very, very carefully holding. I don't want to make it too perfect. Just where there's just missing one or two bits, we'll keep it crude, but just so we can see. Still want to keep the essence. I mean, you could actually just leave it if you wanted to, but I'm just going to add a little bit here. And a bit more on the M. And a bit on the E. And then I think we just do a tiny bit more there. And on the F. And then we'll just keep working our way along here. Right, okay, so now we've worked on the black and I can't see any more bits. Perhaps there would have been an eye on the, you can see here, just on the horse here. So let's just do that. I can see there's an eye bit there. And we'll work our way along. But there's nothing on this side, so it's quite bare. So I'm just going to replicate roughly on the other side. So by assessing and looking. So just hold on there. So as you can see, here's there. And I've just done the other side as well. Kind of almost to match. We don't want to overdo it. Just tiny bit more there. Right, so now we've done part of also the eye, we're now going to get on with doing the tail here. So the colours I'm going to use are, we're going to use a little bit of the raw umber and a little bit of this, which I love to use. This is a yellow ochre, probably one of the most used colours. It really does knock back everything. It's really, I highly recommend getting the raw ochre. And I also have got some white here, which is titanium white. When it comes to the tail part, we're going to just take a little bit of our raw umber here and mix it with some water. You can see it's quite a brown colour. So here we have the colour we've mixed up. I'm just going to again add just a tiny bit of this glaze here. Again, just use a little cocktail stick here, just so we've just got a little bit of the glaze just to keep it in. Right, and then I think we use again a small brush, clean small brush, and then we just take our piece and just again we just assess any little bits and pieces which just need a little bit of a glow in there and just blend that in. Because it's hand painted, it's all full of lots of different colours, so it doesn't matter if it's not exactly perfect. With Staffordshire china, it's very forgiving. So again, just add a bit more in there. And I'm just doing bits and pieces, not too much. If you make a mistake, the good thing is you can quickly wipe it off with your fingers or a cloth. Don't want to add too much, but just do a little bit. Now as that glaze come off there, just smidge there, just to kind of blend it through. I think that was it. Don't think that's, I think it's more on there on the tail. So once we've done that, we're going to actually glaze it so it holds in and blends in better as well. So I'm just going to take my glaze here, and you only need a tiny bit. And then where the hair was here, we're just very lightly just add a little bit on. If you add too much, it will end up trickling and you'll end up with watermarks, and you don't want to keep overdoing it either, otherwise you'll end up with brush marks. This dries extremely fast. And at the back, and this will just blend it all through. Having the glaze, it blends in with all the rest of the glaze. And it also is a key and holds the paint in. And then bits from the eyes, where we did the eyes, and also the part of the tail. Again, just roughly, not too much, just a slight coat. And then also where we wrote, and just did a little bit extra on here. I'm just going to give it a very light glaze on the top, hardly any, just to lock that in. And there we go, how to paint on ceramics for beginners. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and found it useful, and also please consider subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Okay, bye.